This week on Supercars Torque, James Courtney tries some performance-enhancing shoulder braking, Matt Stone Racing is still talking about 3 cars next year, and Renee Gracie gets her ass back in the news. Everybody's second favourite human headline has got themselves back into the news this week. Renee Gracie has said that she's going to spend $1 million of her own money to fund a Bathurst wildcard. Don't know where she plucked that $1 million out of the sky. That figured $1 million. She delusionally thinks that, because of her profile, Supercars are just going to, thumbs up, come on, Renee, green light, come on in. I think the category's been trying to distance itself from her. And also, she's been saying for quite a while, I wouldn't spend my own money to have a drive. So all those things add up. A publicity stunt. The stupid thing is, though, here I'm talking about it. She's got her face in the news. It's probably going to sell her more OnlyFans subscriptions. So, it's just a publicity stunt. Possibly a bit like a Peter Adderton stunt there. It's come out this week that James Courtney, inspired by myself and Shane Van Gisbergen, has decided to up his performance by breaking his shoulder. Once again, mine wasn't broken and I struggled to drive my road car, so God knows how Shane and James have done it. Maybe James's was a bit of a... because apparently he was in pain in Townsville, but drove with it. There was no question. The damage that was done to mine, there was no question. There was something definitely wrong there. I wouldn't have been racing a car, let alone, putting on a harness with a hands device and all that kind of... Anyway, apparently he was playing rugby with his son Cadell, and he tried to take on his son and got taken out, and cracked his shoulder, and had some good results for the weekend. So there's some... I did see some comments on the interwebs about performance-enhancing drugs. I'm not sure how much performance. I would have thought... I know the painkillers I had, they definitely weren't performance-enhancing. They knocked you around a fair bit. You kind of wanted to sleep, not, race a car faster. I didn't feel much better on them. I'd imagine they'd be on, a similar kind of painkiller for pain like that. It would probably actually be a softer version because, they knock you around a fair bit. Matt Stone Racing have said they are going to convert one of their VFs to ZB spec, potentially because they're going to need 3 ZBs next year, because they still have hopes that they will be racing a 3rd car next year. There is a few avenues for them to go down that route. Won't get into it now, but there could be a car, one particular license on the market, maybe one to be shuffled from somewhere else. Anyway, usually... this is a bit of a big undertaking, and a lot of people have come out and said, aren't they going to Mustang for Gen 3? Why would you do this? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Well, because then they have a spare ZB ready to go for their main guys if they don't have that, if they don't run a 3rd car next year. Plus also, at the end of all of this, the ZB is what you're going to be running in Super 2 for a period of time, so you're going to be able to on-sell or use that car for Super 2 anyway, which they're not using possibly that one at the moment. They've got a few VFs sitting around in the shed, so if you convert one, it's ready to go for Super 2 when that gets shifted over, which, essentially you're going to have to upgrade it to sell it as a Super 2 car. So it's just a little bit of forward planning from them, especially at the moment when you've got the downtime. They've got a bit of time to bug around with things like this too. The Groves are talking about setting up a junior team for themselves to foster up some new talent. They've been talking to Fabian Coulthard because he thinks all the guys are coming from Carrera Cup, not Super 2. Just a joke about something, look at a video a few weeks ago. But because the Groves have a lot of history in running their Carrera Cup cars and their GT cars and things like that, so they're saying, might make sense for them to run a Carrera Cup kind of junior program as part of their, core kind of Grove racing that they're doing at the moment, or, doing a Super 2 thing. I mean, the facility that they've bought there at the Kellys is no stranger to running more than 2 cars. They definitely have the room there. Sorry about that. Computer went to sleep. We got the backgrounds back. One of my old VL Commodores and Scotty Mack, who actually had a good race on the weekend, ended up coming 4th. 3 Penske's in top 4 positions. So, and he was the slowest out of the ones at the top there. Pagano didn't do too well, but Scotty's doing all right. For all the people who are having a crack at him this year, he's doing pretty good for a guy who's not an open wheel guy. And that also, there's a story coming out this week, basically every week, about him making it back for Bathurst. I see Speed Cafe's done a poll on the website. Will it wreck the Bathurst if Scott doesn't turn up? Well, of course it's not going to wreck it, but it will take a little bit away, because it will be an interesting thing whether he can jump straight back in and kind of left off where he was, or whether he's got to start from scratch. Anyway, from where we started, Groves are looking at setting up a junior team. This is a great thing, I think. I'd like to see more of it. I don't particularly totally want to see Super 2 taken over by all of the top teams, but the top teams, or kind of a half field, a bit like it was in that glory year of 2012, where you had 888, kind of HRT, Tickford, Stone Brothers with Matt Stone Racing, all running in there with your Matt Whites, and you get Eggleston in there and things like that. It kind of lifts those guys, and then maybe for a Matt White or someone like that to come and do wild cards, or make the step up into the main game. They've had a bit more experience running, plus also the bigger teams get to bring on new engineers and things like that in not such a pressurised environment, plus of course training the drivers and everything to bring up the next lot of stars, because some of the grid, when we talk about bringing back like your Caruso's, Holdsworth, Coulthard's still got a seat, things like that, maybe if we were bringing in a bit more talent, maybe some kind of guys wouldn't get a bit stale there in the series. Jamie Whincup admitted this week that they will be announcing his replacement before the end of the month. So that timing's probably going to be terrible for my video, because the end of the month is Tuesday next week, so that's probably just after I've released my video. Anyway, I'm hearing it's signed, locked and loaded. There's 2 drivers in the running, and also still they haven't actually made a decision, and it's down to multiples. So depending on who you listen to, 2 names always are mentioned in every conversation. One is Brock Feeney, and one is someone who is currently in the series. And if this guy does go and take Jamie's seat, Brock will then take his current seat in the field. Yes, it's a he that we're talking about. It's not going to be Renee Gracie with $1 million that she's going to come in and spend. So anyway, let's see if it actually does get announced before the end of the month. Jamie's coming out and saying a lot of stuff about about Gen 3 at the moment. Is he authorised to say who his replacement is? Because depending on who you listen to at the moment, the decision hasn't been made, or it's locked and loaded. Yeah, it's hard to get a good reading on this one at the moment. The final little thing I'd like to cover off this week is a question for you guys. The V8 Sleuth posted something up the other day about which car of the future car would you like to buy. Saying money is no object, you can go and choose any one, because obviously there will be a flood of them on the market at the end of next year, but some will be filtering out of the series now as teams are trying to get rid of stocks while they can. And I had a big think about this one, because you'd think it'd be a very easy question, kind of, you know, and then you put a bit of thought into it and you're like, oh, I really like this one. Like, you know, my initial thoughts went straight to like a Scott McLaughlin Volvo, but then I also, which Volvo do you pick? There was a couple of them to choose from, and they kind of didn't win anything significant. So you kind of go, oh, well, you know, Scott McLaughlin's VF Commodore, but then you think, geez, it looks really good in that metallic red kind of livery, you know. Would you paint it as, you know, the Pukekohe winner, or would you paint it in that red metallic livery that it ran at Bathurst? I think I'm pretty sure it was Bathurst, and it looked magical that day. And then you kind of go, hey, what about Chas Mostert's, you know, Bathurst winner? That was a really special day. That was just a really great day for me. Big fan of Pepsi Max, so, you know, that helped. But I did settle on one special car for a special reason. The 2016 Sandown 500 winner, Garth Tander, Warren Luff. I'm a very, very long-term HRT fan. That was the last win of HRT. As far as I'm concerned, Triple Eight is not HRT no matter what. HRT is the Clayton Walkinshaw team. So that was the last win they had. Big Garth Tander fan all the way through. That was Garth Tander's last win. And in spectacular form, they had the blowout of the guard towards the end of the race, so there was that suspense whether they were going to get caught by Shane Van Gisbergen towards the end of the race. That was also the year Tanner was running around in the cursed HRT car, and then he finally got that. That was a brand new car. I think it was about 2-3 rounds old by the time it got to Sandown, and his results had just gone from, you know, nothing right to the front. They pretty much dominated that Sandown race, and then he was right in that lead pack. Could have possibly won Bathurst before Jamie Whincup took him out. That's going to be a controversial comment there, but, you know, also that was the weekend where we found out that Garth was going to be out of HRT at the end of that year. So that's my pick of, you know, the car. If money was no object, that's the one I'd be trying to hunt down of all the car of the future cars. Let me know down in the comments, which one do you want? There is a hell of a lot to choose from. Another one I kind of, Todd Kelly's last Altima, painted in that Kmart retro kind of livery that they did for him in his last race. Just as a special thing. Always had a soft spot for Todd. Thought he got a bit of a raw deal. Anyway, that's actually a video I got planned for another day. Anyway, won't get into that now. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Which one would you choose? I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.